Manifestation. It's like making your wishes real. When I talk about manifestation, I'm talking about making something clear and visible. Imagine taking an idea that's just in your head and bringing it out into the world where everyone can see or understand it. That's what manifestation is all about. Manifestation is like turning a thought or a dream into something real that you can touch or experience. It's like taking something that's hidden or abstract and bringing it into the light so everyone can see it. We do this all the time without even realizing it. Every time we speak or act, we're showing the world what's going on inside our heads and hearts. Our thoughts and feelings become real through our words and actions, shaping who we are and what we do. Think about when you work on a project or provide a service. You're taking an idea and turning it into something tangible, something you can see or use. That's a form of manifestation too, just in a more practical sense. But sometimes, things seem to appear in our lives without much effort on our part. It's like they just show up out of nowhere, almost magically. This could be because of our thoughts and beliefs, or maybe we're tapping into something deeper within ourselves. That's where it gets really interesting. Sometimes, we can manifest things not through physical actions like working for money, but through our thoughts and emotions. It's like creating a picture in your mind of what you want and then bringing it to life with your belief and love. I want to explore this idea further and share it with you. It's not about going out and trying to get something from the outside world like a loan or a grant. Instead, it's about actively creating and nurturing an idea within yourself, and then watching it become a reality in your life. It's like creating a special connection between your thoughts and feelings and the world around you. This connection helps bring something new and good into your life. Manifestation has different names, like visualization, positive thinking, or affirmation. But it's more than just thinking positively. It's about tapping into your inner power and using it to shape your reality. Some people see manifestation as a kind of prayer or using your imagination to create something. Whatever you call it, it's seen as a magical process that can bring you what you need or want, even when normal ways don't seem to work. It's like magic because it can happen in surprising ways. Maybe you find the perfect parking spot in a crowded city, or you receive unexpected money just when you need it most. It could even lead you to the right job or the perfect person to love. These manifestations feel like they come out of nowhere, as if luck or magic played a role. And when they happen, it's amazing. It's like your whole life changes for the better. Let's take a step back and look at how our understanding of the universe has changed over time. In the past, people didn't really believe in things like miracles or magic. They thought everything followed strict rules like a machine ticking away. But nowadays, things are different. Science has taught us a lot about the world, especially with all this talk about quantum reality, ecology, chaos, and complexity. These new ideas paint a much more interesting picture of the universe than the old mechanical one. Science is starting to show us that there might be connections between the physical world and the mystical one. People have been writing books about how the ideas of mystics and quantum physicists seem to line up, and it's pretty mind-blowing stuff. So when we talk about manifestation, it's not just some magical thing. There might actually be some science behind it, connecting our thoughts and feelings to the world around us in ways we never imagined. It's like science is opening up a whole new way of looking at the world, one where anything is possible. When I talk about spiritual ideas using examples from science, it's like I'm joining a big group of people who do the same thing. But let me be clear, I'm not saying that manifestation works because of fancy scientific theories like quantum mechanics. Sure, some scientists have tried to explain it that way, but I think there's more to it than just equations and formulas. See, manifestation is part of the world we live in, so there must be some reasons why it happens. And while science might not have all the answers, it can still give us some clues. Think about it like this. The universe has certain rules like how gravity pulls things down or how plants grow towards the sun, Manifestation might have its own set of rules too, and understanding how the universe works could help us understand manifestation better. So, even though science might not have all the answers about manifestation, it's still worth looking at what it does know. Who knows? We might uncover some hidden truths about how the world and our dreams really work. The idea behind manifestation comes from the concept of energy fields. Imagine everything around you is made up of these invisible forces. There's this book I have called All That Is Solid Melts into Error that talks about how modern thinking challenges older ideas. It focuses on how physics, the science of matter and energy, has shown that what we once thought of as solid and unchanging is actually just patterns of energy and probability. So, think of it like this. Instead of everything being fixed and unchanging, it's more like a dance of energy and forces. This idea challenges the old way of looking at the world and opens up new possibilities for understanding how things work. It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it. George Gilder, an economist, talks about a big shift that happened in the 20th century. He says that before, we thought the world was all about physical stuff, like matter and things you can touch. But then, something changed. Scientists started looking at things on a tiny scale, in the world of atoms and particles. Gilder says that in this tiny world, things aren't just solid and unchanging. They're full of information and possibilities. It's like the world went from being a dull, blank canvas to a vibrant, dynamic place where anything can happen. He calls this shift from big to small, from the macrocosm to the microcosm, a move towards a universe that's more alive and energetic than we ever imagined. Instead of just following the rules of matter, it's like the universe has a mind of its own. This new way of thinking doesn't fit with the old ideas about how the world works. It's like trying to understand a whole new language. But if we can wrap our heads around it, it opens up a whole new world of possibilities. It's like peeling back the layers of reality to reveal something deeper and more mysterious than we ever thought possible. Imagine the universe as this big, bustling place where everything is buzzing with energy and possibility. This idea isn't new, but we're starting to see it in a whole new light thanks to modern science. We're using fancy tools and ideas that our ancestors didn't have to understand the world around us. Think of it like this. Instead of thinking of fields of force, we can think of a presence or soul. And instead of just seeing energy or force, we can see life in everything. It's like the world is alive and breathing, and we're all part of this big, interconnected web of life. This way of thinking isn't just something new. It's actually similar to what ancient teachings have been saying for centuries. They talk about how everything is connected and how there's this primal oneness from which everything emerges. Even modern physics is starting to hint at this idea. Physicist David Bohm talks about something called the implicate order, where everything is folded into everything else. It's like the universe is this big puzzle and we're all just tiny pieces of it. At the deepest level, there's no time or space as we know it. Everything is connected and everything is part of everything else. It's like a giant cosmic dance where we're all just playing our part. So, whether you're reading ancient texts or the latest scientific papers, the message is the same. We're all connected, and we're all part of something much bigger than ourselves. It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it. The scientists say it's all about energy and fields that make up everything around us. Energy can change into different forms, and fields are like patterns that organize this energy into shapes and structures. Think of it like this. Imagine a big puzzle where energy and fields fit together to create everything we know. This idea might sound familiar because it's similar to what many religions have been saying for a long time. When energy and fields interact, they create systems, kind of like big networks where everything is connected. These systems can be anything, even us. We're like little systems within the big system of the universe. Some systems are really good at processing information and energy. They can even change and grow all by themselves. Scientists call these self-organizing systems. Every living thing, from plants to animals, is a self-organizing system. But even the Earth itself is a big self-organizing system. Studying these systems has led to new branches of science like dynamics, complex systems, and chaos mathematics. These sciences help us understand how the universe works on a big scale. It's like seeing the universe as this giant, dynamic puzzle where everything is connected and always changing. Let's delve into a fascinating concept called the attractor, particularly the strange attractor. Now, an attractor isn't like a magnet pulling things in. It's more of a guiding force that shapes how a system changes over time. Picture it like this. If a system tends to settle into one specific state, we call that a point attractor. If it cycles through a set of states over and over again, it's a cyclical attractor. But things get really interesting when we talk about a strange attractor. This is when a system evolves in a way that creates a complex, unpredictable pattern that doesn't repeat. Now, what's really cool is that within this chaos, there's actually a hidden order, a kind of organized chaos. It's like finding a beautiful pattern in a swirling whirlpool of randomness. We couldn't see this before because we didn't have the right tools to look for it. These complex systems, like the weather or the stock market, are incredibly sensitive to even the smallest changes. This idea is famously known as the butterfly effect. It's like the idea that a butterfly flapping its wings in one part of the world could eventually cause a tornado on the other side of the planet. It sounds wild, but it's a way of showing just how connected and sensitive these systems are to change. Scientists have been studying how the universe works, and they think that most of the stuff in the universe, like stars, galaxies, and even our own planet, are part of what they call chaotic systems. These systems are kind of like puzzles that are always changing and evolving in unpredictable ways. This means that we can't really predict exactly what's going to happen next. It's like trying to guess where a ball will bounce when you throw it against a wall. It could go anywhere. So instead of everything being set in stone, the universe is full of surprises and possibilities. But here's the thing. Even though chaotic systems are super unpredictable, scientists have discovered something cool. They've found that if you make small changes to these systems, you can actually steer them in a certain direction. It's like trying to guide a raft down a river. The water might be choppy and wild, but if you paddle just right, you can steer the raft where you want it to go. In the same way, by making small changes to chaotic systems, we can nudge them in the direction we want. So, while the universe might seem chaotic and unpredictable, there's still room for us to make a difference and shape the world around us. It's like we're co-creators in this wild and wonderful cosmic dance, always striving to bring a little more order to the chaos. So what does all this talk about chaos and quantum physics mean for manifestation? Well, you don't need to be a scientist to understand it, but it does change the way we think about the world. See, for a long time people thought of the universe as this big machine with everything happening according to strict rules. But now we're starting to see things differently. We're realizing that the world isn't just made up of separate objects floating around in space. It's more like a big, interconnected web where everything affects everything else. The old way of thinking is still pretty common, though. We're used to seeing the world as a bunch of isolated parts, each following its own path. But if we want to understand manifestation, we need to shift our thinking. We need to see the world as a place where energy and possibilities are always swirling around us. You might have heard about things like creative visualization or positive thinking. These ideas fit right in with this new way of seeing the world. Instead of just thinking about things in a linear cause and effect way, we can start to imagine a world where our thoughts and intentions can actually shape our reality. So even if you're not a scientist, it's important to start changing the way you see the world. Because when you do, you open yourself up to a whole new way of thinking and being, one where anything is possible. Let's think about how the way we see the world affects the idea of manifestation. In the past, people used to believe in a scientific view where everything was separate, kind of like tiny particles floating around in space. In this view, manifestation would be like a magnet pulling things towards us across time and space. It's like we're using our thoughts and beliefs to attract whatever we want into our lives. But this raises some questions. What exactly is this force that crosses space and time to bring what we want to us? Is it some kind of invisible magnetism that we can't see or understand? And in this old way of thinking, we start off separate from what we want to manifest. It's like we feel a sense of lack or not having what we need. We have to work really hard and use things like creativity, faith, and positive thinking to overcome this separation and bring what we want to us. But what if things aren't as separate as we thought? What if, in the world of modern physics, we're actually connected to everything in ways we can't even see? It's like we're all part of this big, intricate web of energy and possibility. So instead of reaching out and trying to draw things to us, maybe it's more about tapping into this connectedness and allowing what we want to flow to us naturally. It's a whole new way of thinking about manifestation, one that's not just about attracting things, but about realizing that we're already connected to everything we could ever need or want. Let's think about manifestation in a whole new way. Imagine if we already had everything we wanted. It's just waiting for us to realize it. Instead of trying to pull things towards us from far away, manifestation is more about bringing ourselves into alignment with what we desire. So instead of seeing manifestation as a distant goal, it's more about reshaping our lives to match the patterns of what we want. It's like rearranging the pieces of a puzzle until they fit perfectly together. And to do this, we need to generate enough energy to make these changes happen. Imagine, if we introduce the right thoughts or images into our lives at the right time, it's like planting seeds in a garden. These thoughts and images act like magnets, drawing in the things we want. It's like the butterfly effect. If we make small changes in our own lives, they can have big impacts on the world around us. In this way, the image of what we want to manifest becomes like a guiding force, a strange attractor, that shapes our future into a specific form. It's like setting the course for a ship, steering it towards the destination we desire. So, instead of chasing after our desires, it's about aligning ourselves with them and letting them come to us naturally. Let's explore a different way of looking at the world, where instead of chasing after what we want, we become it. This idea is like building a new understanding of the universe, where manifestation is like a grand cosmic dance. Imagine this understanding as a big house, with 6 main pillars holding it up. These pillars help us understand how manifestation works. The first 3 pillars, waves, interrelationship, and co-incarnates, focus on how the universe is structured. They're like the framework of the house, giving it shape and form. The next 3 pillars, essence, mind, and unity, take us deeper into the heart of things. They're like the spirit that breathes life into the structure of the universe. These pillars help us understand the soul of the universe, the deeper meaning behind everything. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. The body and soul aren't separate. They're like 2 sides of the same coin, 2 aspects of a single mystery. It's like the universe is both the house and the energy that fills it, the structure and the spirit that animates it. So, when we talk about manifestation, we're not just talking about getting what we want. We're talking about tapping into the very essence of the universe and becoming one with it. It's like realizing that we're not separate from the things we desire. We're already a part of them. And when we understand this, we can start to bring our desires into being with a sense of harmony and unity with the world around us. Now, let's start by diving into the first pillar of manifestation, waves. Imagine you're at the beach and someone shouts, "Surf's up!" That's your cue to grab your surfboard and ride those waves. But when we talk about manifestation, we're not talking about riding literal waves. We're talking about riding waves of possibility. In quantum physics, scientists have discovered something fascinating about the building blocks of the universe. These tiny particles, called subatomic matter, can exist in 2 different states, as particles or as waves. It's like they can switch between being solid objects and rippling waves of energy. But here's the really mind-blowing part. This basic stuff of the universe isn't just one or the other, it's both at the same time. It's like trying to catch a wave and a particle all at once. It's a bit hard to wrap your head around, but that's the nature of this mysterious something that makes up everything around us. It's like trying to describe something that's beyond words. Think about waves like the ones you see at the beach. They're big flowing movements of water. Now think about particles as individual things, like apples, oranges, or even people. You can touch and see particles because they're separate and distinct. But here's where it gets interesting. Imagine something that's both a wave and a particle at the same time. It's like trying to catch a wave that's also a solid object. This is what scientists call subatomic matter in quantum physics. Particles have a specific place in time and space, like the Celtic cross sitting on a desk. But waves are different. They can fill a whole room, spreading out in all directions. When you turn on a radio, it picks up radio waves no matter where you move it. These waves aren't confined to one spot like a particle. They're everywhere. Now, when it comes to us humans, we're not exactly quantum phenomena, but we're made up of tiny particles that follow quantum rules. And get this, there's some evidence to suggest that our consciousness, the thing that makes us who we are, might also follow these quantum rules. It's like our minds can exist in multiple places at once, just like waves. In our particle state, we might feel separate from the things we want to manifest. But in our wave state, we're connected to everything. It's like our consciousness spreads out to include all the possibilities of what we want. And even though some things might seem unlikely, they're still possible in this wave state. So when we talk about manifestation, we're not just talking about wishing for things to happen. We're talking about tapping into this wave-like aspect of ourselves and using it to transform our lives. It's about realizing that we're already connected to everything we desire and using that connection to bring our dreams into reality. Imagine your life as a big ocean of possibilities, with waves of different outcomes rippling out from every moment. One of these waves might lead to you having or experiencing whatever it is you want to manifest, a new job, a relationship, or anything else. Manifestation is like the art of surfing these waves of possibility and turning them into actual things in your life. It's about making the things you want more likely to happen. Think of it as transforming a wave of possibility into a solid, tangible reality. In the wave state, the state of endless possibilities, you can imagine yourself both having and not having what you desire. But in the particle state, the state of reality, there's only one outcome at any given moment. You either have it or you don't. So, in the art of manifestation, it's important to understand and accept both the abundance of possibilities and the limitations of reality. You need to embrace the specific details of what you want, while also acknowledging the broader potential of what could be. Understanding the wave state helps you expand your horizons and see the vast range of possibilities available to you. If you can't envision yourself in the reality you want, then it's harder for that reality to become true. Similarly, if you can't accept the specific details and limitations of what you desire, it can hinder the manifestation process. Next pillar of manifestation is interrelationship. So when we talk about manifestation and the principle of interrelationship, it's essential to consider how our actions and intentions ripple out and impact the world around us. Just as spraying DDT affected more than just the mosquitoes, our desires and actions can have far-reaching consequences that we may not anticipate. Understanding and respecting these interconnected relationships is crucial in the practice of manifestation. To illustrate this, there was a concerning rise in cases of plague. Additionally, there were reports of village longhouses where multiple families lived, falling apart because their thatched roofs were falling apart. Further investigation revealed an intricate web of life within the village ecosystem. Grasshopper-like insects nested in the grasses of the longhouse roofs, munching away on the thatched material. Ordinarily, these insects served as a meal for lizards, which were in turn hunted by village cats. This natural balance kept the insect and lizard populations in check. However, when DDT was sprayed, it coated the grasses, and the insects ingested the chemical without harm. But DDT doesn't vanish. It accumulates as it moves up the food chain. Consequently, the lizards, having consumed DDT-laden insects, succumb to poisoning. Similarly, the village cats, feasting on the affected lizards, suffered the same fate. With the cats gone, rats from the nearby jungle ventured into the villages. These rodents brought along fleas infected with the plague. Meanwhile, with the lizards absent, the insect population exploded, devouring the roofs of the longhouses. In this micro-ecosystem, every creature, from the insects to the villagers, was interconnected. They functioned as part of a delicate system. When this equilibrium was disrupted by the introduction of DDT, the entire system reacted in unforeseen ways, resulting in the collapse of the ecosystem. The concept of systems is highlighted in the field of ecology. Traditionally, we focused on individual animals and plants within an environment. However, ecologists now emphasize understanding the entire network of interactions between these creatures and their surroundings, known as an ecosystem. Picture it like this. When we look at a forest, we often focus solely on the trees. But in reality, a forest is more than just trees. It's a complex system comprising various animals, plants, and environmental factors. For instance, let's consider the case of the spotted owl in the American Pacific Northwest. While there's concern about its habitat being affected by logging, it's crucial to recognize that the spotted owl isn't the only species affected. It serves as an indicator species, meaning its well-being reflects the overall health of the forest and its diverse inhabitants. The health of the ecosystem as a whole is at stake, not just the survival of one species. So, when we discuss conservation efforts, we must consider the interconnectedness of all living beings within an ecosystem, rather than focusing solely on individual species. The systems perspective looks at how everything is connected. It says that everything is part of a larger system, or is a system itself. When we talk about manifestation from this perspective, it means that what we want to bring into our lives is also part of a larger system. When we manifest something, we're essentially making it a part of our own system, our life. Imagine it like weaving two webs together. Our life has its own intricate web of connections, and when we manifest something new, we're adding another layer to that web. This creates a new set of connections, patterns, and possibilities, a whole new system within our lives. But just like when you add a new ingredient to a recipe, it can change the flavor, bringing about unexpected results. Similarly, manifesting something new can lead to unforeseen consequences or outcomes. In Christopher Alexander's book, A Pattern Language, which talks about architecture, he makes a profound statement. No pattern exists alone. Each one depends on other patterns. The big ones it's a part of, the similar-sized ones around it, and the smaller ones inside it. This idea goes beyond just buildings. It's a way of understanding the world. Imagine you're building something, a house, for example. According to Alexander, you can't just focus on the house itself. You have to consider how it fits into its surroundings and how it interacts with them. You're not just building a house, you're shaping the world around it. Think of it like weaving a fabric. Each thread is important, but it's the combination of all the threads that creates the whole fabric. Similarly, when you build something, you're not just adding a piece to the puzzle, you're influencing the entire picture. So when you construct a building, you're not just putting up walls and a roof. You're also contributing to the harmony and completeness of the larger environment. Your creation becomes a part of the natural order, fitting into the intricate web of life as you bring it into existence. Each of us has our own unique pattern, a blueprint that encompasses everything about us. It includes our body, memories, thoughts, feelings, relationships, where we live, our job, the larger systems we're part of, and even our connection to something greater. Think of it like a wiring diagram that shows how everything in our life is connected. When we try to manifest something, bring something into our life, we're essentially tweaking this wiring diagram. For example, manifesting something small like a toaster might not change much in our overall pattern, but manifesting something significant like finding a life partner could have a big impact. Part of mastering the inner art of manifestation is being aware of these connections and how they interact. It's about understanding the ripple effects that occur when our pattern merges with the thing we're trying to manifest. The next pillar of manifestation emphasizes that the power to manifest isn't just something I have on my own, it's a shared power. When you're able to manifest, it boosts my ability to do the same. Conversely, if you struggle to manifest, it can also affect my own ability. This shows how interconnected our lives are. While individual choices and actions can overcome collective challenges, none of us exists in isolation from others or the world around us. When the world is thriving and full of creativity and vitality, it enhances our own creativity, health, and energy levels. In other words, when our surroundings are positive and lively, it has a positive effect on us too. Imagine swimming in a river. Sometimes you might find yourself swimming against the current, struggling to move forward. Other times you might swim with the current, effortlessly gliding along. People have the ability to overcome challenges and rise above difficult situations. Throughout history, there have been many examples of individuals who have done just that. However, this doesn't mean that people exist separately from their surroundings. Our environment, including our social conditions, communities, neighborhoods, and cultural backgrounds, is like an extension of ourselves. It shapes who we are and influences our experiences. While we can work to change these surroundings, ideally for the better, we remain connected to them. We often see ourselves as separate individuals, thinking of our power as belonging to just one person, like a single particle. But there's more to it than that. Think of yourself not just as a single particle, but also as a wave, a part of a larger community that extends beyond yourself. In this metaphorical wave, both the particle and the wave possess the power to manifest. They work together as a whole. If we ignore or deny either part, the particle or the wave, we're cutting off a crucial aspect of our power. When we face conditions that belittle our individual spirit, imagination, creativity, or will, we're harming the particle. Similarly, when we promote selfishness, break down communities, weaken connections, and reject love, we're harming the wave. These actions limit the power of manifestation for everyone. On the flip side, manifestation really flourishes in communities where people support and empower each other, recognizing the worth of each individual. In our world, everything is connected. It's what some call a co-incarnational universe. Nothing exists in isolation. Each thing is linked to something else. And when we talk about an entity's incarnation, it's not just about its individual characteristics or boundaries. It's also about the relationships and connections that define its place in the bigger picture. This incarnation isn't just a thing, it's a pattern that shows how it fits into the world. And guess what? It's also part of other people's patterns. Sure, we're all unique. There's only one of each of us. But what makes us special isn't just our name or how we look and think. Others might share those traits. What truly sets us apart is our specific relationships with our family, spouse, children, hobbies, job, friends, environment, and spirituality. That's what makes us truly one of a kind. These things that make me uniquely me, like my role as a teacher, are part of how I fit into the world. They're what I call my incarnation. For instance, I might label myself as a teacher, but without anyone attending my classes or reading my work, can I really be one? Those who support me by watching my YouTube videos play a big part in helping me fulfill that role. We're all interconnected. We're all shaping each other's lives. In fact, it's more accurate to say that we're all contributing to and maintaining the conditions that enable each of us to exist and grow. The unique characteristics of a person or thing shaped by those around them are always changing. Some aspects stick with us for a lifetime. Some parts of who we are stay with us for a long time, like our relationship with our parents. They'll always play a role in shaping who we are, even though that relationship might change as we grow older. But some things in our lives are more temporary. For example, an object can also have a big influence on us. Take Archie Bunker's chair from the TV show All in the Family. It was so important to him that his behavior often revolved around it. That chair became a symbol of him and even ended up in a museum. Inanimate objects can become important to us too, especially when they affect our lives in a significant way. For instance, think about how important crosses are to Christians. When we're trying to make something happen, what really matters is the relationship we have with whatever we're trying to manifest. It's not just about the thing itself, but about how it fits into our lives and shapes our patterns. That's what we're really bringing into reality. The next pillar of manifestation is mind. Once Peter got some very tough news. Doctors said he had lung cancer and only about 5 months left to live. So he started getting things in order, preparing for the end. But then a friend told him about something strange. You could actually make parking spots appear just by imagining them. Jim thought it sounded pretty crazy, but he decided to give it a shot. And you know what? It worked. He could find a parking spot whenever he needed one, even in the busiest parts of the city. This got Peter thinking, if he could make parking spots appear, why not try to manifest something even more important, like good health? So he started imagining himself having healthy lungs. And guess what? It worked again. That was 20 years ago, and Peter is still alive and well today, with his cancer completely gone. Peter's story might sound like something out of a movie, but it's not as rare as you might think. More and more, we're discovering just how powerful our minds can be when it comes to our health. Scientists are studying things like psychoneuroimmunology, which looks at how our thoughts and feelings can affect our immune system and overall health. They're also finding that techniques like imagery and visualization can improve performance in sports, business, and education. This challenges what we've been taught about the separation between our minds and our bodies. For a long time, we've thought of them as two completely different things, but maybe they're not so separate after all. Some ancient traditions even suggest that everything in the universe is connected by consciousness and thought. So maybe there's more to our minds than we thought. Maybe they're not just fleeting things tied to our bodies. Maybe they're part of something bigger, something that connects us all. However, let's clarify something here. When we talk about this primal state of mind, it's way bigger than what we usually mean by mind. Saying that the universe thinks like we do is a huge oversimplification. It's like trying to squeeze all of human experience into one idea. When we say mind, we often just mean thinking or using our brains to figure stuff out. And we tend to see our own minds as separate from everyone else's. But mind is more than just thoughts or intellectual stuff. It's not just what's happening in our heads. As Caroline discovered, it's also about how our bodies work, like our nervous system, our hormones, and our immune system. Even our physical makeup plays a part in it. And it's not just about us as individuals. It's about our connections to the world around us. It's our memories, our genes, our culture, our hopes for the future, our relationships with other living things, and with the earth itself. And here's the thing. Mind isn't stuck in one place like our brains or bodies. It's everywhere. It's in the spaces between us, connecting us all. Anthropologist Gregory Bateson talked about this in his book Mind and Nature. He said that nature itself is kind of like mind, unfolding from this big interconnected web that makes up the universe. So when we talk about manifestation here, it's not just about our minds controlling stuff. It's more like a dance between mind and matter, each one affecting the other. Manifestation is about changing those patterns, fine-tuning those connections, so that everything can dance together in a new way, whether it's across the cosmos or just in our everyday lives. The next pillar of manifestation is essence. To understand this, let me share a story David Spangler told about when he was 7 years old. He was with his parents on an American airbase in Morocco. One day, as they were driving into the city, he sat in the back seat, watching a group of Arab women washing clothes in an irrigation ditch they passed by. Suddenly, he felt a strange but not scary sensation in his body, like he was a balloon being filled with air. Before he could really think about it, he felt like he was out of his body, looking down on the car, seeing through its roof like he had X-ray vision. Inside, he saw his parents and himself still looking out the window. Then the car vanished, and he was surrounded by a bright light. He saw images and scenes ending with a view of floating in space, looking down on the Milky Way galaxy's spiral curves. Everywhere was a warm golden light, and he didn't feel like David Spangler. He just felt alive. He stayed in that feeling of oneness for a while. For a long time, David felt immense joy, almost like ecstasy. Then, he returned to being David and saw himself rushing back to Earth. Suddenly, he was back in the car, looking out the window. It felt like he had been away for ages, but the car hadn't even moved much, and the whole thing happened in just a few seconds. This made him realize that beyond our physical world, there are spiritual realms that science doesn't explore but have always been part of mystical and esoteric beliefs. These traditions say we're like beings who live in more than one place at once. We're physical here, but we're also connected to a spiritual reality that's bigger than the physical world. People call this spiritual part by many names like spirit or soul. In the context of manifestation, David Spangler calls it essence. Essence is like a field of energy inside each of us, a reflection of our inner selves and the spiritual teachings that say everything has an inner nature. The essence is like the unique fingerprint of a thing, setting it apart from others even if they seem similar on the outside. It's the heart and soul, the core identity. While it's easy to grasp the essence of a person because we can relate to them personally, it's trickier to apply this idea to objects like chairs or cars. It might sound strange to talk about a chair having its own inner state, but you can think about the energy it carries. Many objects, whether man-made or found in nature, have a certain beauty or charm about them, which could be due to their shape, how they were made, or how they're used. Objects can also soak up the energy of the people who made them, own them, or use them. For example, think about the energy of a special object used in a religious ceremony. It's not just an ordinary thing. It's filled with a kind of sacred power because of its use. However, beyond these influences from people and their interactions with objects, there's still a deeper essence, a non-physical energy that's part of everything, coming from its own inner nature. To connect with the essence of something you want to bring into your life, you need to consider what makes it unique, what sets it apart from similar things. You're not just getting any house. You're getting a specific one with its own personality. You're not just finding any partner. You're connecting with an individual with their own traits. Understanding and honoring these differences is key. It reminds us that while our minds like to put things in neat categories, life creates things and people that are unique and don't always fit our expectations. Successful manifestation means being open to and appreciating the differences that come our way. Now think about those moments when you experience incredible coincidences, like hearing a song on the radio that perfectly fits your mood, or meeting someone who shares your interests in an unexpected place. These synchronicities are like little hints of the underlying order of the universe. They show us that everything is connected in a profound way. Manifestation is like tapping into this underlying order intentionally. Instead of just waiting for coincidences to happen, we can actively shape our reality by aligning our thoughts and intentions with this deeper pattern of unity. It's like we're co-creating with the universe, participating in the unfolding of creation. This idea is rooted in the concept of the implicate order, proposed by physicist David Bohm. According to this view, the universe is made up of relationships that emerge from a state of primal unity. Everything is connected, and everything unfolds in its own unique way while still maintaining a connection to the unified whole. When we manifest something, we're not just acquiring it as a separate entity. We're actually influencing the boundaries of our existence, expanding or shrinking the metaphysical skin that defines who we are. Our possessions and relationships are like extensions of ourselves, shaping our identity and influencing how we interact with the world. So manifestation isn't just about getting what we want. It's about recognizing our interconnectedness with the world around us and embracing our role as co-creators of reality. It's about acknowledging that we're all part of the same unified whole, and that every manifestation is an act of co-incarnation, an opportunity to deepen our connection with the world and with ourselves. Taking a higher stance than both, when I learn to see myself from the viewpoint of being part of a bigger picture, it's like joining a dance with life. I'm not just an observer or a thing to be observed, I'm a bit of both and something more. Manifestation isn't just about getting what I want, it's about participating and growing. The more I connect with the world around me, the more successful my manifestations become. This means that manifestation is also about expressing qualities like love, compassion, and empowerment, which enrich our lives and relationships. The worlds of physics and mysticism are getting closer. They might not merge completely, but they both point to a universe that's more unified and interactive than we used to think. Seeing manifestation as just a way to control the environment with mental powers is holding on to an old idea. Instead, we need to see ourselves as co-manifestos, all playing a role in the unfolding of the universe. It's important to remember that what we manifest becomes part of who we are. It might seem separate from us physically, but it becomes a part of our environment, shaping our inner and outer realities. So, in essence, every manifestation is a reflection of ourselves, shaping our lives and identities. Understanding manifestation in this way helps us see that we're not just attracting things to us, we're revealing parts of ourselves that were already there. It's about aligning with our inner nature and allowing it to unfold. The 6 pillars of manifestation, waves, interrelationship, mind, essence, and unity, each offer a deeper understanding of how manifestation works. Once we grasp this deeper understanding, manifestation becomes easier and more enjoyable. It's not about complex formulas or calculations, it's about connecting with what's already inside us and understanding how everything is interconnected. When we manifest with this awareness, we can truly make a positive impact on the world around us. Thank you for listening.